Dodge City area alone since 2009 that I've been here, and the issues are constantly the same. Either we're overstaying a visa, or we've got a misrepresentation of some sort of lawful status, and the way to fix that is pretty challenging a lot of the time.
Okay.
So.
Right. Anybody else have a question or a comment? About immigration or agriculture? You do? Great.
My question is going to sound like it's coming from some other field here, but it really isn't. You'll find, I guess, that Ag Committee deals sometime with things that get bounced with other things that we've done. And one of the things that happened, I think, in the Education Committee in the House was they dealt with H.R. 610, which is a bill dealing with education, of course. But one part of it, they were busy trying to do a thing about vouchers. And in the process, they made many changes in 610, maybe intended and maybe not. One of them was to get rid of a nice school lunch program, which I'm old enough to remember when they started the education department, and I'm old enough to remember that one of the good things they did, I was a Kansas person then and now, and one of the good things they did was they took the school lunch program out of the Ag department and moved it into the Education department, which was where it needed to be. But it matters a whole lot to us here in Kansas because we feed the school kids, and we also profit from our surpluses, which have been well used in that. So now, in the process of taking it out, I think in the concept of saying that, we don't want to be a welfare state, blah, 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 we forgot that it does more than you think. It not only feeds kids who are hungry, which includes many kids right here in Dodge, but it also hurts those farm surpluses that we used to deal with through the Ag Committee. So I guess I'm concerned that when you get a chance at H.R. 610, I'd love to talk to you about some of the other parts that are in it, but I'd for sure love to talk to you and hope that you're not going to vote for that thing until they've adjusted some of the stuff that we really don't want adjusted. In the process of that, in case you didn't know, the lowest socioeconomic school, elementary school in the state of Kansas, is on the south side of the river, right here in Dodge. And I spent a lot of years teaching there, and I still think it's one of the finest places anywhere. But when you take away school lunches from kids that are hungry, from a district that the school by itself, not the whole district, at one point had 13 trailer courts and that many truncheons, folks. You know, somewhere or another there's something wrong. I don't want you to take the lunches away. So I don't know how you want to hit that. I realize that's coming across. But it's an ag question as well as an education question. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for the question. Certainly, I don't think that particular bill will ever make it out of committee. I am familiar with the bill. I don't feel comfortable supporting it at this point in time. Of course, there's vouchers in there along with school lunches, and I don't know what else. But we're certainly not going to do away with school lunches. As I started my campaign trail 2 years ago, I would have thought that parents are certainly very much responsible for their own children. And I was unpleasantly surprised the preschool kids and what their lack of nutrition in our own state, that there is food insecurity issues throughout the state. And one of my biggest concerns is these kids never get to reach their potential. Certainly if they don't have enough protein and milk in their diet at a young age, whatever their potential was, they're never going to reach it. So my heart kind of changed on that. And I think this is one more reason why we do have to keep SNAP in the Farm Bill. Nutrition is a big issue, even in our own backyard. So thanks for your comment. Anybody else have a question or a comment about agriculture or immigration? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Congressman. I am Rick Sowers. I'm the mayor here at the city. Glad to have you here. Our comment maybe is more about the word illegal immigration. I think sometimes that gets wrapped up into a lot of people who are really simply maybe just out of compliance, or maybe they're right on the edge of compliancy. One of the challenges that we have here in Dodge City, and of quite frankly, Southwest Kansas, is people getting to the agencies where they need to be compliant at. And so for a lot of people, that means driving into Wichita, driving into Kansas City, driving into Denver, or even as far as Texas to get that compliancy taken care of. We've worked with Senator Roberts' office, and we now have a traveling INS station that comes out to Dodge, Garden, Liberal. But they do that, I guess, more frequent than they've ever had in the past, but we'd like to continue support of that. We'd like to see maybe even a permanent station put in Southwest Kansas. When we first approached Senator Roberts a number of years ago about this, he had came back and told us that we had a total of 3 or 4 people in Southwest Kansas that needed this documentation done. And he, as well as the rest of us, we knew that wasn't right, but that was the statistics that were coming out of Washington. And at the time, we had to do probably several months of research to find out why that was. And it was really people traveling to Texas, getting the documentation done there, and simply just saying, I'm from Texas, and not, I'm from Kansas or Southwest Kansas. So having that ability to get in compliance, having the ability to get simple things like a fingerprint done, that needs to happen, and we need to bring an office into the district to help people to be compliant with the current rules that we have right now. So that's very important. The other thing is that it affects our community in other ways with the rhetoric that's coming out of Washington. And we say we're going to get rid of illegals, we want to ship families back, we want to do things that are that way. And where that affects us is now it becomes a policing issue. We now have areas that probably have a little higher crime rates, that are probably more populated by people who have immigration issues. They're now less likely to tell when something happens to them, when they have a robbery happen or they have something happen to them. And that crime rate, where before a year ago probably was no big deal, because we've always said, we want to take care of the issues. We're not immigration officers. We're not out there looking at your immigration status. But now with the rhetoric that's coming from the press and Washington to some extent, they're less likely to report crimes. And that puts the citizens that they live around in harm's way, and it puts our police officers in harm's way, because now they're not able to take care of problems promptly and when they could have if they've just been reported. And now that reporting is less likely to happen because of that rhetoric that's coming out of Washington. So anything that comes out of Washington that you could help in providing, we're not going to be deporting people right off the bat through ICE and those things. A couple of weeks ago we had a rumor going through town, and it spread like wildfire, no pun intended on the wildfire, but it really was a problem, and it becomes an issue for us here at the city. So just a couple of comments, and thanks again for coming.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mayor. And I guess, first of all, totally understand your point about the immigration offices. My question was, why didn't they put it, at least in Garden City, halfway between Dodge and Liberal, because this is where 90% of the immigrant issues are for the state. So I had the same question for years ago. I can't tell you how many fathers, so obviously I'm an obstetrician, half my patients are probably immigrants, and how many fathers said, don't schedule the delivery on such and such date, and I would ask the question, how come? I got to go to Amarillo for the process, or whatever it is, missing time from work, all those types of things. I think I have felt this firsthand. I think I've been to probably 17, 18 big feedlots. I've been to 3 dairies, several other places where there are a large number of immigrants. I feel your pain. I totally understand the rhetoric issue as well. My own son texted me at 2 o'clock in the morning because one of his classmates is crying, and the text was something like, Dad, is it true that my classmate's going to get shipped back to Mexico? Or her parents going to have to go? And you've heard the stories, whether these kids were brought when they were 2, or maybe the kids were born here, but Dad wasn't. So I felt it firsthand as well. I feel the pain. Now, the next step is fixing it. And it's not going to be a simple process, but I absolutely have confidence that we're not alone in this. Anybody that has a large section of their district is feeling the same issue on both sides of the aisle. So thanks for your comments. Any other questions or comments about ag or immigration? Mike, anything to add on his comments?
The one, if I had 5 minutes to kind of explain just part of this immigration issue.
We'll sit down.
That's fine. That's,
Okay.
the one thing that they've mentioned, and I don't agree with it, the benefits department of Department of Homeland Security is USCIS, just to be more accurate, but we've talked to them about it. We have quarterly liaison meetings with USCIS in Wichita, which is the only benefits department we have in immigration in Kansas, but they've said that there isn't enough interest or applicants there, which I don't. It's the same thing that you've heard before, but it was more than 3 or 4. They realized that. But they do have mobile coming out, but they go to Liberal and they go to Dodge. But it'd be cool if you could probably
Look at our office.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yes, ma'am.
So my name is Marge Erlonsky, and I'm here as a private citizen, but I'm a professor of communication and leadership here at Dodge City Community College. Every semester I am blessed to have in my classroom dreamers. And they did a leap of faith and gave our government their name and address and all contact information. And I am concerned that as a government, we are not willing to promise them that that leap of faith was for good. We are already seeing dreamers who spoke out against the current administration being picked up and deported. And what we have to understand about this is the best and the brightest. And these are people who were brought here as children and now are saying, we believe in the American dream. They are going to school, they are getting educations, they are becoming our most valued people. And we will not make a promise to them that their leap of faith was a good leap. And I'm deeply disappointed, and I hope that you'll come out and say that you will stand to protect dreamers. And I hope that your son has some impact on that, because I think his heart is in the right place, and I hope you will come out and take that stand as well.
Absolutely, we've said that we want to support dreamers in whatever way we can for President Trump to have some compassion. So I think, we're there. You knew enough in Congress. How do I make a bigger impact is the hesitancy in my voice. How do we go from a town hall to actually action on it? Okay. I think this would be a good breaking point to turn to healthcare. Gentlemen, thanks for your comments. I got a couple of healthcare people who are going to come up. As they're sitting down, the other two healthcare people are coming up here. Just a couple quick thoughts on agriculture. I think trade is a big issue, as these two gentlemen both mentioned. I'm happy that our Secretary of Agriculture finally got his paperwork turned in, so we're excited about that. And we're excited that Vice President Pence is planning on going to Japan and working on that issue with them, and working on that trade agreement as well. In addition to that, of course, we're working on the next farm bill. So these three people have each agreed to come and talk just a little bit about health care through their different sets of eyes. And then we'll certainly open it up like we did before and give everybody plenty of time. So I'm not sure who wants to go first. How about Dr. Christy Clark? She's a physician from Hodgman County. Christy, you want to go first?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here, Congressman Dr. Marshall and Rebecca, who asked me I have to stand up to talk, and I'm probably going to use my hands. And I'm a Texan, so you need to know that before I start. And I married a good Kansas boy whose family farm is in Pratt, Kansas. And I'm very happy to be here. I've been in Kansas 7 years now. I am a pediatrician, so I take care of children, but I am married to a family medicine doctor who practices what I call cowboy medicine. We live up in Jetmore. You laugh, but it's true. We live up in Jetmore, and my husband, Robert, he works very hard. He takes call in the emergency department and works in the hospital, the long-term care nursing home, as well as the clinic. And we find our work very rewarding. It's very hard to get physicians and nurse practitioners and physician assistants who want to live and work in rural America. There's no Starbucks out here. And so one of the things that we try to train our Wichita State University PA students is to realize when they come out and live